Hi guys, my name's Matt. I'm going to give you a quick overview of vSure right now. Before we jump into the application, I'm just going to jump into a PowerPoint presentation and just give you a bit of an overview of as to why vSure exists. At the crux, vSure exists as a compliance and risk management application. What we're doing for you is we're going to save you time and stress around governing the work rights of your foreign workers in particular. So let's jump into why you need to be thinking about that. Well, ultimately, foreign workers has been a growing governance issue for Australian organisations over the last 5 years. There's been lots of stuff in the media and particularly in politics around the rights of the foreign workers and stealing Australians' jobs and these sorts of things. And we've seen dramatic shifts in policy, the ending of the 457 scheme, for example, the shaming of certain brands in the media for abuse of foreign workers, etc., etc. It's become a big governance issue across the Australian workforce. And with the current political environment, it's certainly not diminishing. It's only going to increase as a particular agenda item in Australia. So what this all centres on is the Migration Amendment Act 2013. In June of 2013, a new piece of legislation came in that shifted the responsibility from the employee to the employer to ensure the work rights of every single one of their workers. Now, those workers includes both employees and contractors. So the Department of Home Affairs, as it's now known, used to be called Department of Immigration, can issue on-the-spot fines of up to $94,500 as a civil penalty to an organisation who's found to have a single foreign worker working in breach of their work conditions. Let's jump into this a bit further. Effectively, this legislation came out in 2013. And enforcement, well, it's been lax at best because effectively Department of Immigration, as it was known, or Home Affairs as it's now known, isn't a very well-resourced organisation for doing audits of the workforce. So they brought in something called Task Force Cadena, where the Fair Work Ombudsman, who has a much bigger enforcement workforce, was also able to basically push forward with work rights audits and these sorts of things. But still, only a fraction of the Australian workforce were actually being audited as to their work rights. Fast forward to July 2018 and the introduction of Single Touch Payroll. Single Touch Payroll is an initiative that you all should be aware of, where information on your pay runs is being reported to the ATO on your pay cycle. If you get paid weekly, then all the information is being sent to the ATO on a weekly basis, etc., etc. Critically, as a part of Single Touch Payroll, the ATO has specified a data sharing program where it is sharing that information with other government departments. In particular, it has singled out Home Affairs. Home Affairs has been collecting the tax file number of every visa holder in Australia since December 2017. And the reason that they have done that is for the introduction of Single Touch Payroll. They are then able to cross-match the data that they receive from the ATO against the work rights database to see who's working in breach of their visa conditions. They have almost real-time audit process now in place to ensure that your workforce isn't working in breach of its visa conditions. So given that the Home Affairs Department has that capability, the question for you is, are you on top of your work rights? Are you confident that 100% of your workforce are not working in breach of visa conditions? How do you know if anyone's actually changed their visa conditions? When was the last time that you did a check? And if you are checking, you would be very much aware of the onerous time and frustration in doing those regular VIVO checks against your entire workforce. Just to remind everyone, Section 245AB of the Migration Amendment Act specifically says you must take reasonable steps at reasonable times to verify the worker is not an unlawful citizen. And it goes on to say that you should do this by using a computer system prescribed by the regulations to verify that matter. And we're talking here about VIVO, Visa Entitlement Verification Online. And what vSure does is vSure creates a front end on VIVO that effectively automates that process and simplifies it down for you. So just drilling in further on the legislation, it's very interesting to note that you can be in breach of the legislation without knowing or being reckless. You can be receiving, as an individual, a director or an officer, an $18,900 on-the-spot fine per foreign worker found in breach of their visa condition. As a company, that goes up to $94,500 on-the-spot fine with no recourse for each and every foreign worker found to be working in breach of their visa conditions. If the government department in Home Affairs thinks that this was intentional, you'll find yourself in court, and those numbers go up astronomically, and court can lead to a jail time for those directors and officers. So what does vSure do? vSure is about offering you a fast, easy path to compliance by allowing bulk uploads of your foreign workers and automation of the visa checks. Let's jump into vSure now, and then you'll get a better understanding about what we do and how we do it. So I'm just going to log in. When I first log into vSure, I'm presented with the dashboard. The dashboard's a quick overview of the status of all my employees. Effectively, the key one for me here is the current status of my employees, and I can see that I have 2 criticals, 6 important, 4 OKs, and 2 restricted. Just talking through the color scheme, critical means that we've got 2 people who actually we cannot validate have valid work rights. They would be working illegally for you, or their visas may have come up for expiry, or it may be something as simple as their passport has expired, but you need to be aware of that so that you're able to validate these work rights. And vSure is doing that for you automatically in the background. Let's just jump into the visa holder tab for now, and you'll get to see this in a bit more detail. So here's a list of all my foreign workers and effectively their current visa status. I can just run my eye down, I can see the colors, and it's bringing it to my attention. I can do sorting on this. I can basically click and sort. I bring the critical ones to the top. I can see there that I've got 2 workers who do not hold valid visas right now. So invariably I should be looking at offboarding them. I might be talking to one of them and they say, hey, actually I do have a visa, that was just a glitch in the system, you want to check? All you need to do to check is click the visa check button, and it will come up and give you a Vivo check at that point in time. And you can see clearly that this person doesn't currently hold work rights right now. Interesting here is we have 3 types of visa holders. We have current, prospective, and previous. Anyone on the current tab is going to be part of the automatic checking cycle of vSure. Under the settings of vSure, I can come in and I can set how often I want those visa checks to occur. At minimum, we suggest it should be quarterly. Most people, more than 95% of our user base, set either monthly or fortnightly checks. But that is at your discretion how often you want the visa checks to occur. You can also specify how you want to be notified of changes. You don't have to be logging into vSure. If nothing changes, there's no reason for you to log into vSure. You'll get an SMS or you'll get an email to let you know that all the checks have been run and everything's hunky-dory. But getting back to the visa holder tab, these checks on the current are happening on that cycle. On the prospective, there are no ongoing checks that are happening. The idea of a prospective is you might be looking to recruit someone and you want to check their work rights before they sign their employment contract, just to make sure that you're doing that. So I can come in, I can do a check against prospective. If that person then onboards with me, I can just swap that person from prospective to current. And then obviously previous is your audit trail. So effectively in vSure, what we're doing is we're actually going to keep a track of all the past visa checks that we've ever done against this person. So you can see this person, we've done a couple of visa checks against them. And this is my audit trail. If I ever get audited, how do I prove that I was checking the work rights of this person? Well, I just take the department to this tab and they will see clearly that I have been doing the right thing. But I do need to keep a track of that for up to 7 years. So the obligation there is rather than deleting someone once they've terminated, we just move them to the previous tab. They'll be still in the system, but you won't be running any Vivo checks against them from that point moving forward. So how do we get our data into vSure? Well, there's a number of ways. I can just come in here and I can add new. I enter the details of the employee, enter the passport number, hit save, and it will go and run a Vivo check for me on the spot and get them into the system of automatic ongoing Vivo checks. We can also add them via their email address. I can come in, type in their email, and it will basically shoot an email to that person, request their details. We do make a point here that there is an obligation to cite the person's passport in their presence, so you know that they are actually the person they say they are. But email can be a good way if you've already done that and you've didn't collect the details at the time, you can send out the emails and get that information collected. Though we do say the people who might be working in breach of their visa conditions are going to be the slowest to respond to those emails. So there are other ways at getting them to respond. The other thing you do, if you've got an HR or payroll system where you've got this information already, we can use an import from Excel. We provide a template. You basically upload the template, and we will basically upload, and very fast we can provide you with both a data cleanse of your existing data, but also the work rights of those people. Roughly 1,000 visa holders an upload might take to do the upload and to do the visa checks about 10 minutes. So it's incredibly fast and much faster than doing it manually. But once they're in the system, they're then going to get the automatic checks happening, and they typically happen, as I said, either monthly or fortnightly by most organisations. The other way that you can import is through a passport scan. I'll show the passport scan in the next bit that I want to show you, which is the mobile optimized wizard that we've built. So one of the problems that our customers came to us is, hey, we do big recruitment days, and we'd just like to be able to take a photo of a passport and basically upload that into the system and get them in and very quickly validate their work rights. So we went and built this visa holder wizard. As you can see, if I shrink down the size of my browser, this is mobile optimized. Excuse my ugly head there in the corner, but it's a big button. It's designed for touch. If I want to go and add a new contractor to the system, all I do is I click that button and it takes me to here. Under the legislation, you do have to check 100% of your workforce and their work rights. That doesn't mean that someone with an Aussie accent is an Aussie. You need to actually check their birth certificate, their citizenship certificate, and some photo ID to validate that that person is indeed a legal Australian worker. Alternatively, you take a photo of their passport, which I'll do right here. I've got a copy of a passport here. That will strip the data. The little black line along the bottom of the photo page of the passport is something that we can read. We read that information in. I can add additional information, like this person might be in my Sydney branch, and they might be working in front of house. And basically, I can add extra details as I need. Hit next. We then take a photo of the person. I've done something wrong. I'll put it in the wrong field. It's just telling me that that data was in the wrong field. I was trying to put it into the group field. We'll add that there. And we go next. And now I can take a photo. If this is on a mobile device, it'll go straight to the camera, but I've got a photo saved here. Ryan Reynolds, a lot of people are happy to see that. We'll basically then be able to present my screen, my mobile device, to the employee to say, hey, just want to get your consent on this. We do note at this point we have actually sought departmental feedback that states, and we're happy to share this email with anybody, that an employment contract is actually implied consent. You don't have to get consent from the employee. The very act of them signing an employment contract, given that the employer has the obligation to check and keep checking work rights, an employment contract is an implied consent to check work rights. But on the screen here, we make it clear to the employee or visa holder that we're going to do a Vivo check and check their work rights. Now, we could at this point do a visa check. I'm going to do it. It's going to fail. This is a made-up person. There is no work rights against this particular person. And you can see there that it's given me the failed result. But that person's now in my system, and they're basically set up for, if that were valid, they'd be set up for the ongoing perpetual checks. If I take you back to the visa whole screen, you'll now see that person sits there, and I can do checks against them. Just showing you the other things that we do with the system. I'm going to pick up an existing visa holder. I can drill down and see the key information, such as show me all the visa checks that we've done against this person. This person have only ever done one visa check. But I can also go back to the list, and from this screen, I can instigate a new visa check. It'll go to the Department of Immigration database, do a live check against that person's work rights, and it will give me the result. Now, the thing that vSure does is it provides you with the specifics of the information, and it gives you more details. What does a 417 class visa mean? It also gives you any visa conditions, such as the 8547 visa conditions, which says here maximum 6 months with any one employer. The other thing we do is we give you the original result from Vivo. So you click here and you can see the Vivo result. We also give you a PDF, which basically gives you what you're seeing on the screen there, with the original Vivo check attached to it at the bottom. So if you want to save that in any external system, you can, though I do say that vSure has that information there for history for you to have an audit anyway. There's a lot more to vSure, but today was about giving you a good overview of what it does. You can see that it's about the checking of work rights, the automation of that process, and getting notifications out to you quickly. If there's anything you want to see more, please feel free to register for a one-on-one demo. We're happy to take you through any of your questions that you may have and give you a more in-depth view of what vSure does and how it works. Anyway, for now, wish you all the best, and love to hear from you soon. Cheers.